Hey, welcome to tonight's workshop. We're just going to wait for everybody to get on. I'm going to mute everybody right now. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Arlene. Hey, Arlene, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hey, Arlene, can you hear me?
I can now. I couldn't at first, but now I can.
Okay, cool. I always get nervous when it's like, I can't hear you. So I'm just actually, I mute everybody on entry and I'll keep everybody muted. But then I'll unmute everyone after.
Yeah, that's fine. You can mute. I can mute myself too. I just couldn't hear you at the beginning.
Sure. Okay. So I am going to wait a couple more minutes till we have a few more pop on, but I'm going to start quite shortly after 7. I'm going to be recording all these live workshops, so you can send to somebody who you know who's missed it, or if you have to pop off and you can't stay for the whole workshop, that's okay as well. But at the end of the workshop, I will have like a Q&A session for anybody who has any questions or just wants to chat. The option's always to send me an email or a text or a message. We can do that as well. Okay, so I am being recorded. So that is awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna get started. And like I said, at the end of the workshop, I'm gonna mute everybody or allow you to mute yourself if you have any questions. So I wanna welcome everyone to MindBody Balance Therapies' first online live Health Made Simple workshop. So those of you that know me know my name is Laura Lawrence. A little bit about my background. I am certified in body talks. I'm a certified body talk practitioner. I'm also a certified aromatherapist, and I own a health and wellness business called MindBody Balance Therapies. So what I want to share with you, though, is a little bit about like what I did before that. Okay, so I'm just going to spotlight video. Perfect. So I am formerly a trained high school science teacher. I have a Bachelor of Education. I went to the University of Saskatchewan and I studied biology and chemistry and French, and I spent over a decade teaching high school biology and chemistry and middle year science. Absolutely loved what I did. I continue to pursue my passion in education by hosting monthly workshops and now by doing some online virtual versions of the workshop. So I'm really excited for tonight. Tonight is a version of a workshop I did a couple of weeks ago that was really popular. I had, I think, 18 to 20 participants, and the feedback I got was fantastic from the information that I shared. So tonight is about health made simple. So it's steps we can take to make our health and wellness and preventative maintenance of our minds and our bodies to, on the best path and the best track that we can take it. So what I do is I have a mantra for offering wellness workshops and retreats to improve the lives of others by offering preventative health and wellness and therapies to balance the body and mind. When I'm in practice in my office, I do body talk sessions, and I also do aromatherapy massages, and now I'm offering distance body talk sessions and continue to do the workshops. So we are going to look at 2 steps to this Health Made Simple workshop tonight. So the first step 1 is, which I think is what a lot of us miss, is making health simple is actually by starting with your mental health. So it's to take care of your body, we actually first have to start with addressing mental health and taking care of our mind. Our body has something that's called an innate wisdom. So it is programmed from the moment of conception with this blueprint of design of exactly how it is to develop, exactly how the organs and the systems are to communicate with one another. It has an immune system that keeps us alive. It has all these systems that work together. Now, we don't actually consciously tell our body what it has to do. If we had to instruct our body step by step through what it had to do to keep us alive, we wouldn't last more than a few seconds, literally. That is how complicated it is, but that is how smart and innately wise your body is. So it's programmed to heal and repair itself. The problem is that we kind of get in the way. So the high loads of stress, both mental, physical, and emotional stress that we have in our lives compromises that innate wisdom. And when we live in a chronic state of fight or flight, which we call the sympathetic system of the nervous system, your body is always engaged for battle. Okay, it's always the immune response is heightened, and it's actually ready to attack, and it's ready to defend you. So if we keep that state at a heightened high level for prolonged periods of time, I don't have to tell you what's going to happen. Communication is going to start to break down. Organs are going to stop doing what they're designed to do. Systems are going to stop working together. So the single most important thing we can do to help facilitate that body's innate wisdom is to listen to the body. So when we're tired, that, we start yawning and we feel fatigued, that is your innate wisdom of your body saying, you must rest. You need to nap. You have to have a better sleep. Okay, so rest and sleep is really where we get a reset every 24 hours. Most of us don't really get a good night's sleep, and even if we are sleeping, our brains are so busy that we're actually not really getting that reset that we need. So there comes my first, step 1 is self-care. So what does self-care look like? Well, self-care looks different for everybody. So self-care might mean, taking 20 minutes out of your day for a yoga practice. It might mean taking 20 minutes out of your day to go for a long walk, or have a bath, or read a book, or listen to your music, or pray. It may mean a variety of different things to different people. The point is, and what I really stress in this Health Made Simple workshop, is step 1 of preventative health and wellness is making sure that you take care of your mind every day. So that usually goes to the bottom of the priority list, right? So if you are watching this and you are a mom or a dad, or a grandparent, even if you don't have children any longer at home, those of us that have children or any type of responsibility, we have stress, we worry, we have emotional programming that just keeps us engaged in this busy, one-track thinking. So by engaging in self-care, absolutely that's step 1. And what I find a lot of my clients who come to me, they are not taking time to reset their mind. They're not taking time to refresh. Now, as a body talk practitioner, what I do in a body talk session is I help to reset the body-mind balance. I help the client to reestablish that communication and the innate wisdom of the body, to let go of stress quickly and efficiently and get on to the next step of healing and repair. So how I like to compare it to is, if we're looking at animals in the wild, if they have stress, mostly their stress is being chased by a predator, and having to narrowly escape their death. Well, what happens after that is they usually go lay down under a tree in some shade, shake it off, and they're able to basically reset and get back on with their life without reliving that emotional experience or situation of having to, narrowly escape their death. We can look at that from the human perspective of, being behind in bill payments, having a very stressful job, having children who have behavioral disorders, having a job that is, more than 9 to 5, and it's exhausting, and it's absolutely, taking everything out of you. So those stressors, those environmental stressors, keep kind of playing out repeating patterns in our brains that keep us in that engaged fight or flight mode. So in Body Talk, simply all we do is we seek to restore that balance by lowering the amount of stress on the body and helping to improve function. So everything I talk about in today's workshop is really about helping the body's innate wisdom to do what it's designed to do. So there's no, miracle tricks or fixes, or it's really all about working with your body and your mind to do what it is designed to do, which is keep us, healthy. So one thing that I wanted to share with you is a book that I read. I find that 98% of my clients who come in for a session are not good breathers. Now, what I mean by that is breathing. You might be thinking, like, what are you talking about, Laura? We all breathe. Well, breathing is a very autonomic response. We don't think about it. But what we do notice as body talkers, there are many disorders of the body and diseases of the body, mind, that are associated to our breathing. So, for example, very shallow breathers will have a higher incidence of disorders related to the skeletal system. So, arthritis, any type of joint and bone issues. You know that if you know anybody that suffers from any lung or respiratory issues, they definitely are shallower breathers. So what I've been trying to do with myself, because I noticed I hold on to my breath a lot, and I noticed that in a period of stressful time in my life, is to really consciously engage in breathing. So I picked up this book, and I'm going to share it with you. It's called Just Breathe. It's really cool. It's a great read. So go ahead, jot it down. I went through it quite quickly. It gives you some great practices. It gives the science behind breathing, why it's important to breathe, how it's a great reset for your body if you take a couple of minutes every day to just engage in some conscious, deep, connective breathing. So that's one of 3 books that I'm going to share with you tonight. So, as I mentioned, start a yoga practice, read, pray, listen to calming music, go for a walk. I don't really, I don't really have a specific suggestion of what it is you do for self-care. It has to be something every day that takes your mind basically out of that fight or flight and into just a very slow pause of rest, relaxation, and digest. We call it rest, relax, and digest, which is the parasympathetic nervous system. If you're interested in learning more about body talk or having a distance body talk session or even in-person body talk session, by all means, reach out to me. I have, over the last 3 years, hundreds of clients that have had seriously significant shifts in their health and their well-being, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. It is a phenomenal modality, and I can't actually say enough about it. So if you haven't had the opportunity to try, I would really suggest that be something that be on your bucket list. It definitely took me from a place of high stress on my body and complications that were happening with my respiratory system, my circulatory system, all because of my stress load that was happening up here, to a complete shift, which is why it inspired me to become a body talk practitioner. So that is step 1 of Health Made Simple, really, is prioritizing self-care, putting yourself to the top of your priority list and ensuring that daily you have some sort of practice that is designed to take you out of fight or flight mode and into rest, digest, and heal mode. So hopefully, if you're watching, you're already starting, some of your programming is starting to think, okay, what is it that I do? And you're probably thinking, I don't do anything right now, or that I do something weekly, or I do something monthly. But really, to get into that preventative health and wellness, we really want to engage in a daily self-care practice. So step 2, before I get to step 2, I wanted to share another book with you. So speaking along the lines of body talk and the connection between the brain, the mind, the subconscious programming in the body, there's a phenomenal author out there. Her name's Deb Shapiro. Now, she's not a body talk practitioner, but what she studies, which is conscious-based medicine, we use to reference often as body talk practitioners. So the book's called Your Body Speaks Your Mind. And it's a really phenomenal read. So what she goes through the conscious programming of all of the different organs and parts of your body and different ailments that you might be experiencing in your life. And she explains the emotional, the subconscious programming and connection to that. So let me give you an example. If you have chronic issues with your knees, so sore knees, sore joints, that in conscious-based medicine is really related to our belief systems that are rooted in fear. And all the fears that we have in our subconscious that are going on that are holding us back from things in life. If we have chronic issues with our back represents the stability. Okay, the emotional programming and belief systems behind how well we feel supported, how much of a burden it is for us to support others, earning a living. It's about really foundational supportive systems in your life. The elbows, when the elbows come up in a body talk session, it's really interesting because when you talk about the elbows, we're looking at your subconscious programming of stubbornness. So how stubborn you are, how you dig those heels in. So it's really a phenomenal read. And I've had a lot of clients who, have had chronic issues with headaches, migraines, you name it, there's everything in here. Then when they look and they read it, they kind of have that like aha light bulb moment of, oh, yeah, I can see that because I often think about, and then ... So they can see the connection between their mind and their thinking and their subconscious programming, and then how that's played out in their body. So really great read if you have a chance. All of these I ordered off of Amazon. So they're really, really easy to access and get your hands on. All right, so step 2 of Health Made Simple. There's only 2 steps I'm going to talk about tonight. So step 2 of Health Made Simple is taking care of your body. So, if you do your body good, it'll do you good. It's just as simple as that. And I'm sure you've all heard the quote, your body is your temple. We only get one body. And it's very interesting how so many of us take that for granted until we get that frying pan over the head moment where all of a sudden we have a diagnosis that elicits a lot of fear because we, aren't sure what's going to happen in the next step of life. So when my father was diagnosed with cancer, that is a very fear-based diagnosis, or fearful diagnosis to get. So if we take care of our bodies ahead of time and try to be proactive and preventative instead of all of a sudden frying pan moment comes and we're backpedaling trying to now fix what has been done in the body. So remember I said the body has an innate wisdom and it is so efficient at what it does. That is why we can go decades and decades and decades with super poor diets. High sugar, high fat, high fried food, high processed food, being exposed to all the toxins in the environment. And, our body does us well for years and years and years until one day it doesn't. And that's what, I have a lot of clients that come into my practice that hit that point of which their body has had enough. It really hit that breaking point, that threshold. And then, there's always the questions, well, what happened? I often have people say to me, my gosh, he looks so healthy, or, she looks so good. I can't believe she had that diagnosis of that ... That is because good health is not indicated by 2 things, how you look or how you feel. Because at a cellular level, there are things happening years before they actually show up or present as symptoms. So that is why it's really important. And I'm trying to do this with my children, and my gosh, it is difficult. So if you're a mom watching this and you have little ones, it is so difficult because we're on the road all the time. We have to be super organized at prepping, snacks that aren't high in sugar and high in processed. And I find it a real challenge for me. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, how I've sort of come up with some solutions to that challenge. So we're exposed to so many things, not even what we eat, but actually what we're, what's in our environment that we can't even control. So your body will really put up with a lot of crap until finally it's like it can't do it anymore. So there's been such a breakdown in communication that organs start to fail, systems start to discommunicate, and then that's that backpedaling. Now what? And then most of us go to a Western-based medical approach, which is now we're going to treat the symptom instead of the root cause of what got us to that. So I often talk in my workshops about my own personal health, the health and wellness of my family, and I often reference my dad's cancer diagnosis, which was 2 years ago. And it was really interesting. Dad knew that diagnosis was coming. Now, if we all pay a particular close attention to our bodies, which I think is a really important skill we need to teach our children, to really be in tune with how their body feels so that they can pick up on signals that they're getting from that innate wisdom of their body. But, my dad wasn't surprised by his cancer diagnosis. He had that gut feeling, that hunch. There were things that were happening. And what he decided to do was he was going to take the best of both worlds from both a Western medical approach and also an alternative, complementary, whatever you want to call it, medical approach, where he could look at the whole compass of the body mind from the alternative approach, and then also take the technology and the science and the surgeons from the the Western medical approach. And he was very fortunate. He acted quite quickly. He had a very open mind. He engaged with my naturopathic doctor, who's one of the leading oncological doctors or naturopathic doctors in Canada, got on a very strict anti-inflammatory diet, which absolutely was a game changer for him. Now, I never make any health claims. I never, claim to, obviously I'm not a physician. I'm not a licensed physician, a health practitioner. I just know what I know from personal experience and from the work that I do in my alternative practice. But I know that when Dad got his results back from the spots of cancer that were in his lungs and in his liver, which they couldn't really touch from a Western medical approach because they're not large enough, they had shrunk 50%. And all he changed was his diet. So he lost 55 pounds, which really reduced any physical stress on other parts of his body, like his heart and his lungs, making his immune system more apt to be able to fight and defend the foreign invader, the cancer. So it was a really positive experience for him. And my dad was not somebody who often would have an open mind to an alternative type of approach. But 95% of all chronic illness is due to what we are fueling our bodies with. Okay, and you can look that up. That stat is really quite, it's quite a solid stat. 95% of the illnesses that our children and that we will, see in our lives is due to what we're fueling our bodies with. And tragically and shockingly, like, our generation of children are the first generation who are said to not outlive our generation because, again, of the type of diet and lifestyle that we're really actually teaching our children. So that was a really shocking to me as well. And I've heard numerous doctors actually quote that stat. So that's why I'm really passionate about doing these types of workshops and getting people really onto the bandwagon of preventative health and wellness. So I talked a couple weeks ago about the buildup of toxins in the body and what happens. So when we're looking at diets that are high in sugar, high in fat, high in inflammatory food groups, high in processed foods, what we do is we cause something in our body called acidosis, which is a buildup of acid, and that can come from external toxins as well. That can lead to things like fatigue, headaches, migraines, allergies, depressed immune system, moodiness, sugar cravings, sleep disorders, poor gut health, addictions, caffeine addictions, and then much more serious autoimmune disorders and chronic illnesses that many of us, hear about but never want to be on the receiving end of that diagnosis. So the really important part in this step 2 of taking care of your body is looking at your gut health. So if you've never heard or read or even looked into how important the relationship between your gut health is with the overall health of the rest of your body, you're going to really find this to be a very interesting part of this workshop. Now, improving your gut health will improve absolutely every aspect of your health. There is a very strong connection between the gut brain and the head brain. In fact, in Body Talk, we balance all 3 brains. We balance the head brain, the heart brain with the gut brain. Now, the gut brain is responsible for so much more than just digesting what you eat. It helps to produce 90% of the serotonin, which is the feel-good, happy hormone that we release. So think about that. Your mood and your emotion, 90% of that serotonin is produced by the gut. If you have a compromised gut, you will have mood disorders. You may suffer from depression. You may find that it's difficult to be happy. And our children will as well if they are suffering from gut disorders, which many of them are because they're eating such high foods and diets with sugar and processed food. So by decreasing or eliminating inflammatory food groups, that's first step, an easy step to improving your gut health. So what's an inflammatory food group? Well, dairy. I found before I got pregnant, I did an elimination diet because I wanted to see I wanted to listen to the innate wisdom of my body. I wanted to put it to my body to a test. So I did an elimination diet and I cut out several inflammatory food groups. Dairy was one of them. I cut it out for 3 weeks. When I reintroduced dairy after those 3 weeks, my gosh, not only did I get like a message from my body, you don't like dairy. It was like a scream. I had such bad gut pain. I knew that dairy was not something that my body really loved, which is interesting because the food industry will really push dairy as a good probiotic for you, you know, the yogurt commercials, when in fact, yogurt isn't by any means a very strong probiotic. And one part of being having a really good gut health regimen is having a really good probiotic that you take daily. One of the ways that I actually got rid of my little guy's eczema, again, this is not a health claim, this is my personal experience. When he was 6 months old, he broke out in really bad eczema. Some of you may have seen the before and the after pictures. His body was flaming red. So I looked to actually helping to restore gut health. So I got him on a really good probiotic, and within 3 months, between using that probiotic and one of my own aromatherapy blends to help, you know, heal the skin, we got his skin to be almost, you know, normal again. So I'll always say to clients when they come into me and something's happening on their skin, they have a rash, they have eczema, they have something that's going on, I say, you know, that is a signal that your gut health is breaking down or is broken down. So you start with restoring gut health. So the other types of inflammatory food groups, sugar, oh my gosh, sugar is the most inflammatory, you know, substance that's out there, 100%. Even Western medicine, well, you can find so many studies that link sugar to incidence of chronic disease such as cancer. Gluten and grains, legumes, you know, although they're good for you and they're, you know, part of the Health Canada's food groups, overconsumption of them, it's hard on the gut. These are substances that are very difficult for the gut to break down, so it has to work harder. Fried foods, processed foods, nuts. I know that my little guy and my husband, my gosh, if they consume too many nuts, their gut is just in turmoil for hours after that. So that's a really easy, simple step you can take to improving gut health, is just by looking at what you're consuming. Maybe do what I did in elimination diet for 3 weeks, take out a food group, take out 2 food groups, reintroduce them slowly after the 3 weeks, and really listen to that innate wisdom of your body and see what it's telling you. Okay, so you know right now, if you eat something that's not great for you, you're going to feel it. Okay, it's going to send you a message. You're going to get really sleepy, right? Lethargy. Lethargy is a classic example of having a toxic overload in your body. So many people who come to me say, I'm so tired, I'm dragging my butt every day, I can't sleep. So that is acidosis, just a buildup of toxins in the body. The third part of really actually restoring gut health is incorporating greens into your daily diet. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, the toughest food group for me to get into my kids' body and my body are greens. Those high antioxidant, you know, dark green vegetables. I'm not talking about cucumbers and celery, okay? Because, I mean, those are favorites of my kids. And they're like, oh, Mom, I ate my veggies. I'm talking about the spinach and the kale. You know, I'm talking about the green veggies, the broccoli that's tough to get into our diets. So by starting on greens, a greens product, I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of really great, you know, easy button solutions I found for my family. You're not only building your immune response, you're healing your gut, you're also helping to boost the antioxidants that are in your immune system that fight free radicals that lead to chronic illness in your body. So it's a win-win. Greens also give your skin a really healthy glow. They give you a great natural boost of energy without the crash of caffeine. Again, so many people come into my office and what do? They have no energy. So what do they counteract it with? They use caffeine to get that energy level up. And then what happens? They crash from the caffeine, all right? Then they might crave sugar in the afternoon. Then we have that roller coaster of up and down, you know, imbalances with the pancreas, blood sugar, glucose levels. So what we want to do for a lot of people is just avoid that whole response to begin with, that whole loop, that feedback system. So eating greens, so eating vegetables that are, as I mentioned, really will help boost your energy as well without the crash that caffeine, you know, gives a lot of people. Greens are a very alkalizing food, which means they are going to counteract any acids that are in our stomach. They're going to really help to alkalize, which means they're going to neutralize those foods that make you feel really yucky, might give you indigestion, heartburn, upset stomach. So they're very alkalizing. So a really, really important food group. And I think probably the food group that's the most difficult for us to get in. Before my workshop a couple weeks ago, I did some research in looking at some medical articles that related the incidences of cancer, especially gastrointestinal cancers, to diets. So it's probably no surprise to hear that diets were very high in vegetables. So vegetarian and vegan diets had lower rates of incidences of cancer, not only in gastrointestinal cancers and colorectal cancers, but also in hormonal-based cancers like breast cancer. So I was very interested, it was interesting for me to read an article that there was a 30% decrease in incidences of breast cancer with diets that were higher, vegan and vegetarian diets. So, no meats, no dairy, very inflammatory foods, difficult for the gut to digest. Another really, something that I do for my family, and I really encourage all of my clients, is when we're looking at how we fuel our body and what we give our body in order for it to do what it's designed to do best, is to look at the role that antioxidants play in your diet and in your body. So what is an antioxidant? Well, an antioxidant works against an oxidant, and an oxidant is a substance, a free radical that can cause damage to your cells. So you hear about that when we hear about that, the C word, the chronic illness of cancer, right? So to reduce your exposure to free radicals and to increase your exposure to antioxidants. Now, the body actually also produces antioxidants, but there are very many antioxidants that we can consume through our diet. So green vegetables is one of them. Berries like blueberries and strawberries. So I try to give those to my kids as often as I can. What else do I have here? Dark chocolate. So, sugar-free dark chocolate. Vitamin C, so vegetables that are high in vitamin C, those are all simple solutions that you can just incorporate into your diet. Now here's the thing, and I don't have to tell all of you this, the fruits and the vegetables that we're purchasing these days, we know have been exposed to, again, those toxins, those environmental chemicals, and actually we don't really even know to what extent they have been. We just, we know, I knew when my little guy started to eat strawberries and he broke out all around his mouth, my naturopathic doctor said, that's not an allergy, Laura. That is an exposure to the chemicals and the toxins that are on those fruits, because berries are the worst for actually absorbing those toxins that they spray them with. And little people have such weak immune systems that their skin will show everything. So I thought that's really, really quite, interesting. Perspective that kind of shifted my mind perspective too, on just because we're going to the grocery store and we're staying on the outside aisle and we're buying the healthy stuff, the stuff that's not packaged or processed, doesn't necessarily mean that it's 100% great for us either. So those are all things to take into consideration when we're looking at it. I just recently came across a phenomenal product that just by accident actually, that has been researched as one of the most powerful antioxidants that is known to man, really. It's a selective antioxidant. It's called molecular hydrogen. And as someone who studied chemistry and biology, I got really jacked and excited about this whole new idea of using molecular hydrogen to heal the body. So molecular hydrogen is an antioxidant in the form of hydrogen gas, H2 gas. And when it's produced and released in the body, it's such a small molecule. It can actually get to any cell and in any part of the body and do its work. So again, it's an antioxidant. It's going to help fight free radicals. So the best analogy I found for this is if you're thinking of an industry, and this industry is producing lots of smoke through the smokestacks, big black billowing smoke. The molecular hydrogen would actually prevent that smoke from being released, or it would actually counteract the smoke that was being released, but it also would go into the factory and prevent it from even being a byproduct of the whole reaction, what was going on inside the factory. So what that means in layman's terms inside your body is molecular hydrogen as an antioxidant can actually reverse, or is said to, I shouldn't make a claim here, I got to be careful what I do. Research has shown that it could actually reverse things that have been done at a cellular level in your body. So, as someone in this industry of health and wellness and preventative, maintenance of your body, I'm super, super excited about it. So molecular hydrogen may help, reduce oxidative stress on the cells, help reduce acidosis in the body. It absolutely helps to manage chronic pain of the muscles and the joints. And I can say that from personal experience, and I'll share that in a bit. It can speed up the recovery and the healing process for somebody who is going through a chronic illness, who's basically hammering the body with a technology or a drug that's meant to get rid of what's happening to their body, but has very harmful side effects that's keeping them down and out and sick and on the couch for weeks and months on end, and very slow recovery. There are no side effects of using molecular hydrogen as an antioxidant. My kids use it. My little guy, my 3-year-old uses it. He used it when he smashed his finger to help, speed up recovery for him and healing. The only byproduct of molecular hydrogen being produced in your body is water. So it's safe for pregnant women. It's safe if you're nursing. It's a phenomenal product, in my opinion. I'm really excited about it. So it's the molecular hydrogen isn't something that you can necessarily always go and you find on in the drugstore, in any of your natural health food drugstores. And again, like I said, I stumbled upon this product from one of the companies that I work with. And I was really excited to see how quick and easy it was. They come in little tablets. They look like this. They're just tiny little tablets. My daughter can swallow them as well. You can crush them up. You can put them in juice, or I put it in some applesauce for my little 3-year-old when I was helping to get him recovered up from something he was going through. So I can say from personal experience that this antioxidant, this version of antioxidant is really going to be a game changer in a lot of people's lives. For me personally, it's allowed me to run again. I've had a long-standing issue with my knee and my tendon, and I'm able to actually go out and run again pain-free just by using this technology of molecular hydrogen. It's being released in the body from the tablets. My daughter's friend had an injury from softball, and she, within 2 days after taking this product, was able to be pain-free and head out into the field and throw a ball again around without having any pain at all. I have a really good friend who suffers from migraines to the point where she has to take T3s to manage her migraines. And this product, the molecular hydrogen, has absolutely changed the game for her. She no longer has to pop T3s like candy. And again, I have another friend who suffers from a chronic illness that keeps her in pain every day of her life. And since having the molecular hydrogen in her system on a daily basis, she has, like she said, gotten her life back. Her pain has gone from a level of 9 to a 2. It's been absolutely a game changer for her health. So as I mentioned, antioxidants, you can get them through your diet. You can get them, different drinks offer antioxidants. Green tea is an antioxidant, but this particular molecular hydrogen-based technology is a phenomenal game changer in the health and wellness industry. So if you're interested in it and you're wanting to know more about it, please shoot me a message, and I can have a personal one-on-one conversation with you about how it, introducing it into your, regimen might really be a very proactive and also a very smart choice for you on your path. If you aren't in chronic pain and you don't have any headaches, or you don't have anything to, recover from, this would be a phenomenal product to take as a preventative measure. Remember what I said at the beginning of the workshop? It's like we wait until we get that frying pan moment. So because this targets cellular health, it goes to the cells, really selectively fighting free radicals. You don't know what we're all being exposed to, right? We don't know what we don't know. And so by taking a product like this, for me, how I look at it for me and my kids is it's adding years onto our lives, hopefully from doing some preventative maintenance. So if you're like me and you have a job, or you have, that takes a lot of your time and energy, or you have a busy family like me, and you just can't seem to fit all of your really great ideas into a 24-hour period, you have all of these, goals that you want to do for your health and wellness, I always look for what I call the easy button, something that's going to make a healthy lifestyle a little bit more easy and attainable for me. It's going to save me time, it's going to save me money, and it's going to make it easier for myself and my children to be able to access some of these, these great, daily regimens that I'm talking about. So I talked a little bit about that recovery product. The other two products that have really changed the game for us have been the greens. So I talked about how greens really will help restore gut health. We definitely do not eat enough greens in our household. It's very expensive. I end up throwing them out anyway because we're either not home or the kids won't eat them. So now I take a product called greens. It comes in a powder form. It tastes delicious. When I did my workshop, I had everybody taste a little bit on their hand, and they loved it. They could literally eat it off the spoon. Hands down in taste test against other greens, it's one because it's such a great tasting green. It's non-GMO, it's vegan, gluten-free, soy-free, whey-free. The other thing about this greens is that in the process of preparation, they only heat it to a specific temperature so that it doesn't kill the live portion of the greens. So in greens, you have your phytonutrients, your chlorophyll, but if it's heated beyond a certain temperature, then all of that dies, so to speak, and it's rendered ineffective when you take it. So that's really important when you're looking at taking things like this. So I put a scoop into my son's juice. He loves it. He calls it his green juice. So now my 3-year-old gets his daily greens every day. My husband, who is a celiac and who has very poor gut health despite trying numerous things, within a week of having the greens, said to me he felt way less bloated. He felt much more balanced, and he really felt good. And he doesn't often, share things like that. So I thought that was really cool. They also come in caps. So they look like this. They're little capsules, but it's the powder. Just if you don't like, taking a powder or adding it to your shake, the green caps are awesome for on the go. I use them, like I said, for my boost of energy without the caffeine crash. If you took 6 of these before bed, you wouldn't be going to sleep. That's how much energy you get from them. So they're fantastic to just pop in your purse at work. So those 2 products have what I was talking about, the broccoli, the kale, the spinach. They have barley grass, wheatgrass, dandelion, all of those very healing, very alkalizing products and ingredients that really help restore gut health. Less than $2 a day it costs for, to put a scoop into your shake or into your juice, or, pop 3 or 4 of the green caps every day. So for me, that's my easy button. And secondly, if you're like me, you have a cheat meal once or twice a week or once or twice a day, and you're eating those high inflammatory foods like dairy, or, you just go out for a meal and you eat way too much. These little white, I call these are my little lifesaver pills. So when I eat something that's very high in sugar or high in processed fats or fatty foods, I'll take 2 of these alkaline boosters, and within a half an hour, my gut is absolutely restored. It feels like I didn't even eat them at all. I take 2 of them before bed, and I've had the best night's sleep of my life. And I have access to quite a few really great products in my practice. I work with a couple of leading companies in the health and wellness industry, and I only bring in the best of the best because that scientific, inquisitive, inquiring mind of mine always makes sure that I do as much research as I can on a product before I bring it in. So these alkaline boosters, for any of my clients or my family who've had a hard time sleeping or don't get that restful sleep and they wake up in the morning and they feel like, they ran a marathon in their sleep, the alkaline boosters have changed the game. Again, it targets gut health. It targets improving a balanced gut, which is going to also really improve your sleep. So if any of those products, those easy button products, sound like that's something that you'd like more information about, because like me, you need something that's accessible, that's affordable, that's quick, that's easy, but it's going to get you on that path to improving your gut health, which is going to have an amazing effect on your overall health of your body mind. Please send me a message and I can help you sort of tailor something that would be suited for you or your family or your children's needs, to just take those little baby steps that you want to take to get back into or onto the first, great path in health and wellness for you. So I want to thank all of you for tonight before I open it up for questions. If anybody has any questions, if what I said has sparked any interest, by all means, I love feedback. I love to answer questions. I like to do one-on-one consultations if you're interested. And I'm going to be offering more of these workshops when the time, probably in a couple of weeks, I will do another workshop with another topic just based on what I'm getting from the field and my clients. So I'm going to open it up. I'm going to unmute everybody. You can mute yourself if you want. Does anybody have any questions of anything that I talked about for any of the steps or any of the products? Does anybody need any clarification? All right. So if something kind of comes to mind, oh, does someone have a question? Did I cut you off?
It's Arlene.
Oh, hi.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, for sure. I'm just going to turn up my volume. Yep, go ahead.
You had said about, you were talking about different foods like fried foods, processed foods, overconsumption. And you mentioned nuts. I've heard a lot, but I've never heard anything about nuts. Now, I know with my natural doctor years ago, when I was trying to level my blood sugars with something other than sugar, she was saying, get your sugars under control with protein. So I always keep bags of nuts in my truck, but I guess I don't really overeat them. But if I'm hungry and I'm out and I'm not getting home for an hour, I eat handfuls of mixed nuts. I do buy them organic, and I have found them for me to really help tie me over so that my sugars don't drop. Instead of grabbing more chocolate or more sugar, like that's not good, which is what I did for years. Now I learned to balance my sugars with extra nuts. So are you talking about nuts in general or just excessive nuts?
So, and maybe I didn't clarify when I was talking about it. It depends on, again, that innate wisdom of your body. You have to listen to what your digestive system is telling you when you eat them. Okay, so obviously an overconsumption of them you might feel, I mean, if you even look at how a nut is structured, they're very hard, right? They're very dense. So in order for the gut to break it down, it has to work a little harder. So if you have a compromised gut, which I know you don't because you eat very, very clean, but many of us don't eat that clean. So if we already have a compromised gut and we have some leaky gut going on and our gut's working extra hard as it is because, it looks like, the inside of a, volcano, it's so red from inflammation, then it's going to be more difficult for your gut to break those down. So I'm not saying avoid nuts. I'm saying they can fall into that group of inflammatory foods for people. I know for my son, it was something that was really high red flagged for him in his allergy testing or his sensitivity testing. And my husband said he knows after he eats those, I finally found him an awesome granola bar that was gluten-free. And he's finally tracked it to that is what's giving him the issues before he goes to bed, because he'll pound one or two of them because it gives him that sweetness and it gives him that snack, and he just feels horrible for the rest of the night. So you kind of just think about that, how they can be really just dense for your body to digest. So absolutely, they keep that blood sugar leveled. So if you don't have an inflammatory response to eating nuts, there's no need to avoid them. It's just one of those things you just have to think about. And I know some of the diets that are out there, or I forgot to share this with you guys. This has been a game-changing book for me. It's called The Gut Balance Revolution. It's written by a medical doctor. It is phenomenal. It's very interesting. It's kind of relates to a few of those diets that are out there right now. I shouldn't say diets, lifestyles, just to change what you're eating and be more conscious of what you are fueling your body with. It's a really great book. So for anybody who has any irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, colitis, celiac, anything that's, or if you have bloating, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea, anything like that, that's all diseases of the gut, this would be a great book to pick up for sure. Okay, I muted everybody just because I heard some background noise. Does anybody else have any other questions? You can unmute yourself. Did that answer your question, Arlene? Yeah? Okay, cool. Yeah, I love nuts. I love almonds. I eat them a lot, and I don't have that inflammatory response to them. But like I said, I know my little guy and my husband do. So, okay. So one thing too I love for feedback is if you happen to have any, ideas of what you'd like to have a workshop on, or what you'd like to learn more about, or what the topic of my next, virtual online workshop should be. Send me a few thoughts. I have a couple that I've done already in person that I'm going to do. The stress and sleep one is really, really popular. The chronic pain one is really popular as well. But this one is really about how making being healthy can be as easy as, like I said, grabbing a scoop of greens and popping it into your kids' juice at the beginning of the day. So these products that I have and that I've recommended to many of my friends and family members who really need to get back on track, especially with their gut health, have just been game changers. The doctor who is behind this line is amazing. He's got a world-renowned practice down in the States. Him and his wife are both chiropractors. They're both natural health practitioners. They have over 50,000 clients worldwide. I had the opportunity to meet both of them. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant people. Very passionate about health and wellness, and know a lot about the gut and about restoring gut health. So When all else fails, I'm going to leave you with this. When all else fails and you can't figure it out, start with the gut. Okay, that's where stuff starts to break down. And before the gut, it's breaking down up here. So step 1, take care of your mind. Step 2, let's fuel your body the best that you can fuel it. So thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate you taking time out of your night. I stuck almost to my 45 minutes, so that's exciting. And I'll keep you posted when my next workshop is, and I will also post the recording. So with that, I'm going to sign off and say have a wonderful evening. I hope you guys had a great weekend.